on stage Marie Vachon from RISE, Marie-Claire Maxwell from Business Sweden, Daniel Renkrantz from Vinnova. Daniel Lidvall, we have you hopefully online already, and Stina, please stay with us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So this panel is really about a little bit of the backlash, and also about how is it important for Sweden as such, the big picture. So I would like to start with Mary, with you, because you were there when the whole thing started in Hannover Messe. This was the first time we personally met. So how do you see this development, the AI startup landscape, as something that happened between Germany and Sweden, this Innovation Act, what we signed last year?
First, thank you for inviting me. It's really a proud moment to see a deliverable on the German-Swedish Innovation Partnership that was updated last April when we met, as you said. And I think the importance of this could be manifold. And I see the value of having a clear common view of a landscape of such crucial resources as the AI startups, make us so much better equipped to attract talents and investments to Sweden. It makes us also visible in terms of how we use the investments in research to really accelerate applications of AI and adoption. So I also think that we will be much more equipped to collaborate in the complex reality we are in now. So this is the benefits I see.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Marie. And it's very good that you could join us. Marie-Claire, over to you. You are from Business Sweden. So the question obviously goes that how Sweden can be benefited globally. What will be, how it's going to support the competitiveness of Sweden globally? How do you see that?
Well, I think it really shows with this map that Sweden continues to deliver in the unicorn factory that this ecosystem is. And moving on from collaboration, what we are really good at, what started in Hannover now has landed in something so fantastic like this. I know that from the 50 markets that we cover, that this is really needed. We need to understand which companies that we should help globalize, which ones we should matchmake with the international players here and also with investors. So it will be a really useful tool for us in helping these companies reach their full global potential, but also putting Sweden and this region on the map, that we have a great AI technologies, that we have a sustainable way of looking how these can help our society, and how they can really get the whole ecosystem working together in also reaching some very important goals that we all need to work on together.
Thank you. This is very good to hear. Daniel, over to you then. I mean, Daniel, you were also part of the evaluation team, so you had first experience and you were part of the making of the map. So how do you see that, how this map is supporting the Sweden's innovation agenda, the Swedish innovation strategy, and how it's supporting Vinnova as such?
Well, it's very important if you look at the Swedish economy to understand that small and medium-sized enterprises, they make up a significant portion of employment and value added. Therefore, if you look at the AI field, you can also see that startups are the vibrant force for innovation and societal transformation. And therefore, if you're going to make national prioritizations, you really need to understand this scene of small and medium-sized enterprises, in particular startups.
This is very good to hear, and then thank you joining us as one of the member of the evaluation team. Daniel Lidvall, are you with us online?
I am. I don't think I can share video, but I can. I sure hope you can hear me at least.
We can hear you, Daniel. So a quick question: you are representing now AI Sweden, and the question is that how this AI startup mapping is related to their newly launched startup program, what you have, how they're going to benefit from each other, and how do you see that for AI Sweden, this landscape?
Well, it's like Daniel said before. I mean, we see AI startups as core part of carrying and developing deep tech AI knowledge in Sweden. They're, I wouldn't say an otherwise missing piece, but they're a clear catalyst for really developing and let's say bringing into new organizations the latest generation of technologies, where you really need an agile organization that can move fast and build new solutions, basically. So of course we also want them to be part of AI Sweden and to have the exchange with all of our larger corporate partners, public sector partners, and so on, so that we can work together on really interesting problems and challenges for Sweden. So this mapping is crucial for us to understand, where are we startup-wise within AI in Sweden today? Where are the best companies, and who should we work with in the future?
Thank you, Daniel. And last, of course, but absolutely not least, Tina. You were there when the whole idea was born. I was running to you in the Hanover Messe after we had the panel with the German delegation. How do you see that this mapping, how is it going to foster Ignite Sweden as such? How do you see the relationship with the mapping? How it's going to support you in the future?
Yeah, that's a very good question, of course, Sandor, thank you. Ignite Sweden is a national program, non-profit, and our mission is to support startups, not only AI startups, but startups in general, to find customers. That's what we do. And that could be customers within the private sector or the public sector. But real customers, because that's something really important for startups to be able to grow and grow here in Sweden still. So, and this is very interesting, because when we started this process, we actually thought that we know all the AI startups. But by combining these two ecosystems, we've discovered a bunch of new AI startups that we didn't have a clue about. For example, within school. I mean, we're not in Ignite, we're not working that much with schools. So obviously that's a blank spot for us. And for example, marketing areas that we didn't cover either. So I think this is like for the greater good for the AI startups to have an active and present role in the important ecosystems that operates nationwide. That's why I really like doing this together with AI Sweden.
This is very good. I'm very happy to hear. Probably it's not known, but we have adopted something from Germany, from Munich, more precisely from Unternehmertum. And this is, I think, the first adoption outside of Germany, so we can be proud of, I think, ourselves. But I'm pretty sure that you have some plans with Unternehmertum in Germany. So what are the next steps in this mapping?
That's a really good. That's also a good question, Sandor. Thank you. Of course, we have adopted a lot from Germany, and that they are actually, Unternehmertum and appliedai.de is the reason that we're actually doing this. Because when they did their mapping, they could really see that startups benefited greatly because they could all of a sudden they could build trust for their important stakeholders, such as customers, investors, and other partners. Because AI is something, it's still difficult for a lot of people to grasp, and especially for the early angels investors, for example, it's tricky. So I hope really that we would see the same effect here in Sweden by launching this landscape. But yes, we will actually tell you, now it's a cliffhanger, because we wanted to stay here. We will tell you a little bit more about what happens November 17th in a while. And that will be with Germany. And what we are aiming to do is a Swedish-German AI landscape.
Wow, okay. This is fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being part of this lounge. This is very important for us, and then it seems that it's very important for whole Sweden. So I would like to give now the word to Agneta and then continue with the program. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Agneta, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you.
So as Sandor and Stina was talking about, it all started with a collaboration with Unternehmertum and Applied AI in Germany. And I want to share a bit about the approach that we have worked on and how we have worked. And our friends Applied AI really opened up and showed us their process and how they worked. And we decided very early that this was very good. We also wanted to make sure that it fitted Sweden in the best possible way. And I want to see if we have the same issue as last time here. All right. So how did we do this? Well, the first thing we needed was the evaluation committee. And we thought it was very, very important that we got all different representations from all different kinds of stakeholders. So we put together an evaluation committee with 16 members representing corporates, representing VCs, entrepreneurs, incubators, academia, authority, and public sector. I will talk more about and introduce our evaluation committee in just a while. And before that, I want to share more about how did we find our startups. So we worked with all our networks, the combined networks of Ignite and AI Sweden and RISE in the Swedish innovation ecosystem in order to identify and get in contact with as many AI startups as we could find. So, and in addition, we went out in social media and asked all AI startups in Sweden to apply. So that in this way, we have been able to identify 140 AI startups or candidates, and that we have in different ways evaluated. And we then had a first evaluation meeting, and this was back in, I think, June, where we went through all the different evaluation parameters that we wanted to agree upon. And we held such a meeting and agreed on the process. And then since then, we've had 3 large meetings, committee meetings, where we have gone through the different batches of startups. And I can also say that in the evaluation meetings, we went through approximately 120 startups that we actually reviewed carefully. And it may be very important to understand or interesting to understand, how do we evaluate the startups? So we looked at what kind of AI technology are they using? Have they developed their own IP and have they their own development? We looked at the business models. Will they be scalable? How can they grow? We looked at what kind of data they have access to, but also what kind of data they could use or have they been using. And then we looked at the AI competence of the team of the startup. Do they have any AI engineers in the team? Or did they collaborate with universities? And last but not least, we looked also at if they had any proof of concept in place or if they were already on a product offering. So there were many parameters, and we looked at the combined effort of all of them in order to determine whether or not they were fit for this map already now. And in some cases, when we did the evaluation, we identified some questions that we felt we had to go back to the startups with. So we went back to the startups and asked them these questions in order for us to take a better decision. But it's important for us to let you know that this is as we see it, this is a live list. This list will live and change continuously. We hope to be able to evaluate also in the future, at least every 6 months. And the next time will be around the 17th of November that Stina has a little more to inform you about later on. And so any startups that wants to be part of this list can join it or apply to us and make sure that they get visible for us, and we will look at them. And even if someone has now received not for now, they can come back to us later on, and we will continuously look at them and see how they develop. So we're ready at introducing the committee. And I hope to be able to let each one of us introduce ourselves. So let me see, do we have Sanna Westman part of this? So let's start then with Johanna. If you're live, please.
Yeah, I am. Hi. So my name is Johanna Björklund. I'm a researcher at Umeå University working on semantic analysis and multimodal content, so algorithms that make sense of video. And I'm the co-founder of 3 media tech companies, CodeMill, Accurate Video, and Adlead, that aim to reinvent the media supply chain. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Johanna. And I would also like to see if we have Vic Lee in the meeting. If you can unmute yourself and just introduce yourself to us. Okay, so I'll try with Rebecca Lettman-Rideau then. Are you
Hi, so I'm Rebecca and I'm an investment manager at Industrifonden, and we're a venture capital fund investing in new technology and innovation that can strengthen Swedish industry competitiveness, basically globally. So nice meeting you all.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Let's move to Amy. Amy, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, everybody. My name is Amy Ludfi. I'm a professor at Örebro University. My background is within AI and in particular integration with robotics and looking at machine perception. I just want to say that it's been a really enlightening and exciting process to work in this committee. A really nice mix of people. And like someone had said before, we made a lot of discoveries about what the landscape looks like. So it's been really a pleasure to be part of this work.
So glad to hear you, Amy. Thank you. Martin Rugfeldt, are you there?
Hi, yes I am. So I'm the founder and the CEO of Sentient.ai, and I have a long background in AI, working in various AI companies, and I'm also active in a range of other AI startups.
Thank you. Great to have you with us as well. And Patrick Ekemo.
Yeah, my name is Patrick Ekemo. I'm working as a senior advisor at DIG, Agency for Digital Government here in Sweden, and driving AI at the national level from our perspective. I'm also deeply involved in the AI agenda here in Sweden and some of the EU expert groups as well.
Great, thank you. Helene Niklasson, are you there? You're muted or you're not there? All right, so we continue with Raul, please.
Yeah, hi, my name is Raul. I'm a business coach at Sting. We are an accelerator for startups with really high ambitions to make the world a better place. So that's what I'm working with all days long.
Wonderful, that sounds great. Ingrid? No, I'll get back to the ones that have not been part of this. But Patrick Kägu, are you there? Yes, please unmute.
I'm here. My name is Patrick Kägu, and I'm working at Almi Företagspartner in Stockholm. And we focus on helping small and medium-sized enterprise with funding and business development and coaching.
Thank you. All right, I'll go back to Sanna Westman just to share who she is. She works at Crandom as an investment manager with focus on, among other things, AI. I also missed, I think, Vic Lee. She works as an investment director at Ericsson. And then Helene Niklasson is an investment manager at Volvo Group and head of CampX. And Ingrid is a board member of Stockholm AI. I think I got all of them. And the last 5 at the bottom row in the presentation are you've already met: Sander Albrecht, Daniel Renkrantz, me, Stina Lantz, and Daniel Gilblad. So that is the entire committee. And my plan now is to reach out to a few of the panel members, because we don't have time for all. And the question I want to ask is really, why do you think the mapping of the Swedish AI startup landscape is important to your stakeholder group? So Johanna, can you start and talk about why this is important to academia?
Yeah, for sure. Well, speaking as an academic and also an entrepreneur, I find the AI startup mapping as a really good way to find, well, I thought I started my video, sorry guys. So for me again, it's a good way of finding emerging technologies and also future business partners. And I find that with more established industries, then they already have a community in place. But for us, the community is still at a formative stage. So I see the mapping as a way to accelerate this community building process and to help people find each other. Thank you.
Very good, Johanna. And let's check with Patrick. How do you think this is important to public sector?
In many ways, I think one thing is clear, as for everyone, the mapping is important to understand the status of the current AI landscape in Sweden. That is changing all the time. But also for agencies and regions and municipalities as a quality assurance when they, in their innovation, development, co-processes, co-creation processes, when they are actually getting involved with companies in procurement processes. Some of these companies could be new partners establishing part of the new services and things within the public administration that builds upon AI. So therefore, I think it's could work as a quality assurance to work with those that we approved. And I think that could actually lead to that we can increase the AI capability within the public administration.
Yeah, great. I agree completely. And let me also ask Raul, how do you see this as an innovation ecosystem facilitator? Or?
Well, I guess that I'm talking for the startups here, really, because I mean that's what we're working with, and I think that this industry and like every industry, it needs to reach some kind of critical mass in order to get the chain reaction going, to get into some kind of exponential growth phase. And we've seen that before with, for example, the gaming industry. I mean, just in Stockholm, we're like 4,000 employees in that industry right now. And so by having people like the people in sort of this team, you always need people that know what's going on in which companies, which startups. That way we can create connections, synergies, opportunities, and perhaps most importantly, a lot of learnings. So I think that by doing this mapping, we reach the critical mass faster. That's really the point, the biggest point with it.
Great, thank you. Rebecca, how do you see this as an investor? Why is this important?
Well, from the venture capital perspective, we depend a lot on deal flow to succeed, and we need to meet a large number of companies before finding the right one to invest in. So quantity is important. But what is extra relevant and interesting with this screening is the quality aspect as well, since all the companies have been vetted and had to qualify to be on this list, which gives a high degree of relevance for people like me. So yeah, I think it's super relevant what we've done here.
Very good, thank you, Rebecca. And last, I also had a question to Helene as a representative for corporates, but I'm not sure if Helene is on.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Amazing. I had to restart the meeting. I'm sorry about that. And now I also on video here. So hi, I'll make a comeback here.
Yeah.
Yes, you asked why it is of value and importance to be able to map the startups and the AI startup. As you mentioned kindly before, Agneta, what I'm responsible for in the Volvo Group is the so-called Campex Innovation Hub. And there we have the mission to accelerate technology and business innovation, and to also accelerate innovation through partnerships. And for us, it's crucial to be able to find in a very smart and efficient way potential partners. So therefore, I think this is a very great source for us, a very valuable source to do just that. Then if it's AI, if the company use AI as a methodology and a tool, it's also something that we are very strongly looking into how we can accelerate that as well. But I see that is a very big value and source of importance for us.
And I remember you mentioned also the value yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, for you.
I copy. Yeah, thanks for letting me comment on that. I copy Amy here. Because we all have very hectic agendas, all of us, and then we signed up for this. We didn't really know what it was, but on a personal note, it has been very, very rewarding to meet all these really knowledgeable people coming from different parts and different perspectives. So on a personal note, this has been very, very rewarding from my side, and I have learned a lot, which is also something you don't do every day. So very interesting. Looking forward to further contribute in developing this. It would be fantastic.
Thank you so much, Helene. And I think that's something that we've seen from all of the members, that we've all, it's been a lot of contribution and sharing and helping to come to good conclusions. A very positive work together with all of us. So thank you all for doing this work and being so active in the collaboration. So great. So now you've met with the committee. And I'm thinking that the next step is what we're all looking for, right? So I'm not going to hold you longer now. And the idea is that we move over to discuss and share the actual map. So Sandor, no, so Stina and Peter, please join me on the scene. And I helped you with the slide now.
Thank you, Agneta.
I like to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Stina,
yeah,
you started this work together. We talked about that. We started 1 year ago in the Hannover Messe, and now we're finally here, but it's not a final.
No.
It's as Agneta said, it's a lively document or a lively map of what is going on. But for you, why is this so important from your role? Because you're working with Ignite Sweden and startups on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. Well, as I mentioned before, I think it's been quite tricky for AI startups to stand out of the crowd. And I hope, and our aim is that being present on this map will actually help the startups to be more trusted, to be honest, because it's a lot of buzz about AI, and it's still a fairly new area of, it's a tech area that not many people are really super into yet. So this is our mission. And I think something that's interesting about this landscape is also that, of course, the Eval team have looked at the scalability of the startup, but you will find very early startups on this landscape, as well as later stage startups. So it's really a tech. We've been looking at the AI competences in these startups, nothing else. And I think all of these startups really deserve a really great chance to reach their investors, their customers, and so on. So yeah, that's my hope. That's why we'll be contributing to this.
Yeah. Yeah, coming from an AI Sweden perspective, when we started, we saw that, okay, we need to start to work with the big corporations, the big organizations, because that's where we have to do transformation. We have to get them to start working with AI. But as we got further and further down the road, or as we developed the work, we also saw that, okay, startup, to really ignite the Swedish AI ecosystem, startups is a crucial way. And I think that's been, as mentioned before, that's been the really fantastic thing here, to be able to work together with Ignite and kind of clash together our both communities to find the academic startups, the already scale-ups, but really that can really provide existential value for to the technology transformation we're in.
Yes.
But Stina, one thing that we're not mentioning enough is why corporate should work with startups and why startups are so important to drive innovation.
Yeah, okay. So there's a really long answer to that one, but there's also some shorts. And I would say in the short questions are, of course, that as a large company, doesn't matter if you're a private company or a public sector player, working together with startups means that you shortcut your innovation cycles. Basically, that's it. That's the super easy and the super obvious answer. Because meeting and working with these startups gives you access to a technology that they have been developing around the clock, really, and very often already from research and science-based and so on. So for a corporate, especially I think within digitalization, I'm meeting a lot of large companies. We've been working with about 180 in Ignite so far. So we start to see some trends.
Yeah.
But one thing that is very obvious, that if you're a large company working within steel, for example, mining, of course you can't as well become Google. That's why you have the startups, because they can add that fantastic digital layer that you need to succeed in your business. So yeah, it's really leapfrog, innovation, kickstart, and do things much, much faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To drive innovation through tears and sweat and blood, as of the startups that actually put in the work.
Exactly, but the beauty of this for the large company is that it's the startups' tears and blood and sweat that you actually that you get access to.
Yeah.
And I mean, our entrepreneurs, they are fantastic. And they really want to build their companies.
Yeah.
So this is a perfect match made in heaven, you could say.
Yeah. And we're soon to release the map, but
Yeah.
we also want to inform about the livelihood of the map.
Yes.
So if your startup is not on the map as of now, because this is really, we heard Rebecca said it, Helene said it, it's about quantity, it's about highlighting and showcasing the entire startup ecosystem. So what do you do if your startup is not on the map yet?
Exactly. Do we have a slide for this?
No, not yet.
No, not yet. Soon. Okay. So keep a lookout in the chat. There will be a link soon. We are hoping that all of you here today that are not on the map, that we are soon going to show you, will want to be a part of this. And you can, and therefore we have this extra evaluation team meeting just in a couple of weeks, but then we have a very hard deadline. So you need to apply and give us all the data that we ask for, not only 2 sentences, but really give us all the data that we ask for, and then you will have a chance to be on the map that we will do a new launch on November 17th.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know everyone is eager to see the map, but that is also something we need to mention.
Yes.
Because we're also together with Vinnova and Ignite and AI Sweden is doing Sweden Innovation Days. It's a 3-day conference where we try to push both. We're showcasing the Swedish AI ecosystem, but what we're also doing is talking and workshopping in how startups and corporates can work together to really push and drive innovation on a global scale. And during the first day, we will have an event with the new map. To really showcase how quick this map can develop.
Exactly. So now we really need your help. if you don't find your own startup on the map, or if you know a startup that should be present on a map, you need to help us to find them. So please do that, because what will also happen is that this is a part of a larger European initiative, as we've talked about earlier this evening. And on the November 17th, we will actually merge the Swedish AI landscape with the German AI landscape. So that is what will happen. So we'll have a new launch, but it will also be on a European level on the 17th. So everything to win, to be there.
Yeah. And what do you want to do now?
I want to invite Marie Wahl.
Welcome on stage, Marie.
We're just, you know,
pushing it,
just like to do in the movies, right? When something exciting is about to happen. So, do you want to push the button?
Should I push the button?
Yes, please push the button. Just this one.
And it's going to.
And then we need some.
And it's going to drag on one more time,
Yeah.
because it's building up the anticipation. So you can push it once.
Yeah.
And then we're going to build it up, because this is highly important. I know there's an anticipation.
We do like a countdown, I think.
Oh, a countdown. Yeah.
3,
2, 1, go.
Push. Okay. Great.
So this is the map as it is now, and it's going wild.
Yeah, it's going wild. It's doing its own confetti, I think.
I think it was the confetti, actually.
Yeah. Very interesting.
So it's still live, and if there's, as you see, there's a number of categories tagging the startups, looking at what the startups and what areas they're in and what categories of customers they're targeting. As Tina mentioned, if you're not on the map, please apply before the last of October, so that we can highlight you in the very international 3-day conference, Sweden Innovation Days, because we know there's a lot of interest for Swedish AI startups, both from Nordic corporates, but also from international corporates. And I think that's one of your roles, to highlight why startups are so important for Sweden.
I think that's quite obvious, and it has been even more important in the last couple of months. We have seen how Sweden has been a structural change due to digitalization, and it has accelerated enormously the last couple of months. The result of this is that a lot of companies really have to look into their digital business models. And as you can see in this AI map, there's AI startups in all different businesses. This is not only an industry thing, it is as much retail and agriculture, and all businesses are affected by this. And all businesses need help with the digitalization. What is also another factor that COVID and this pandemic has brought with it is that we see that a lot of larger corporations look at, we need to have our partners close by. We can't trust those global value chains anymore. So they are even more concerned to have their partners, innovation partners and subcontractors in their close ecosystem. And this is super important for us from a Swedish perspective, because if we want to have the large companies to stay in Sweden, we have to be secure that they also have the partners that they need in Sweden. So with this AI landscape, with those AI companies are super important to keep the businesses we have innovative for the future. They are super important to attract new industries to Sweden. And they are also super important to really attract both talents and money and competence and customers to those companies. So I think that what you have done here is a really good step to creating a strong startup landscape, but also strong Sweden, a strong digital Sweden.
That's what we also aim for. And in Germany, I mean, the results of the map was that they could actually see that the startups present on the map could attract investors in a new way. They could build a trust to reach new customers. But also, I think, not at least important, attract talent. to get a visibility to attract clients.
Yeah. And I think that this map will also attract other international startups to come and establish themselves in Sweden, because they see that there is a cluster here where you want to be. They see that there are some kind of support also that can help them to get in contact with international customers and find partners to join forces with to be even stronger in the customer market.
Yeah. Stina, how will you use this map at Ignite?
Yeah, actually what will happen now is that all of the startups that are present on the map and also present in Ignite will actually have a badge. But to be honest, all startups on this map will receive a badge. Maybe you're not aware of this, but after this launch, you will get an email with the map and the badge that you can have proving and showing that you actually are a part of this very, very important ecosystem and landscape in Sweden. So yeah, that's something, of course. But then already, as I said in the beginning, this process have also given Ignite insights in startups that we wouldn't have found otherwise. For example, within schools. So I also think that our continuous collaboration on this will help us to help more startups.
Yeah, because that is a point. We often forget public sector. We often forget that public sector is a very interesting customer also internationally. And I know Ignite has a big interest from in the international public sector. I know AI Sweden has a really interesting network when it comes to the public sector internationally. So there's a number of customers as a startup you might not think of. And that's why it's so important to be on the map, to be in a marketing window, because it's not only us that's going to use this map. It's also going to be Business Sweden, what we call Sweden AB. So on fairs to drive interest for the power of the Swedish innovation. So really, I'm as a startup founder myself, I'm very proud of the startups that's on the map right now, and I'm looking forward seeing the list grow.
Me too, very much. And I think we actually have some of the startups present on the map in the order or in the panelists, do we? I'm looking at my colleagues behind the cameras. Yeah. So not everyone with name, but hey, Maria, I see you. Maria Lindström from Survive.
Hi there, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm very honored to be on the map, and everyone in the audience and behind you, Stina, and the crew, thank you very much for doing a fabulous work. Anything that can support the sales process of getting in, getting a client, and lifting the awareness to the right stakeholders, going from nice POCs to where the AI do have its real value, meaning the boardroom, is of great value. So anything that can be done, any second or any initiative to support that, we are absolutely grateful to be part of such activity.
Thank you. Do you see that this will bring on any, I mean, on a concrete level, to have this mark?
I think what you mentioned beforehand on a couple of areas, I think it's valued for several reasons. I mean, we're a small company, and going into the client side, often a small SME as we are representing will be set head to head to an Accenture or even a McKinsey or whoever you come across as an alternative. If you have a quality mark, even though we are very state of the art where we are competitive, to have a quality mark from an outsider view can really help and lift to trust a smaller, lesser known entity. And moreover, as I think you also mentioned, like the recruitment potential, me and everybody in the room have the same needs. We always need to attract new talents, and we all know the international cost for having one more AI engineers on the HR bill. So if other values can be brought forward to somehow clarify why and how a certain company with a vision should be joined with the talent. I think that's a great initiative for the companies as well. So I think these two is excellent concrete values.
Thank you so much, Maria. Jumping over to Martin Sjöstrand from Lexcor. Hi, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Yeah, I'm the CEO of Lexcor, and we are the one you talked about when it comes to public sector and schools. We have a AI system to using eye tracking technology to evaluate reading capabilities, reading abilities among children and young adults. I think what this network could bring to me, one thing that we always come across is we need to demystify AI, because the problem is that the target market we are addressing, which is both public schools, but it's also private schools and charter schools, as it's called. It's fri skolor in Swedish. This is something new. This is something kind of, how do you explain that you can use AI with a soft thing such as a child, for example? So we have the challenge to try to demystify AI, and I think the more we can work together to bring that message that AI is absolutely possible to use also for more soft things, if you like. I think that's very important. But another thing which I think is important, and I see that, and we work a lot internationally, is also that we are collecting, I think all of us in one way or another are collecting a lot of data and very unique data points. And I think the more, if you can cooperate around that data asset, I'm sure that you can find new ways of applying that data asset to completely new perspectives and new user groups and so on. And I think that could be something that can come out of this as well, as far as I can see. So a little bit like that.
Yeah, but that's a fantastic take, Martin. Thank you, because you're absolutely true. And especially in these Corona times where we don't have the natural meeting spots, maybe we should create a close LinkedIn group for you only, for all of your founders that are present on the map now, because that's definitely a spin-off I would love to see. And I'm sure that everyone else in the room would love to see it too. So I also have Jim, Logical Clocks. I can't see you at the moment, but I saw you.
Yeah, my video's on now. Hey. How's it going?
I know that you are also one of the startups that I was kind of surprised of. I haven't really found you before in the Swedish ecosystem, and I know that you're quite famous abroad. So in that perspective, what do you hope being present on the Swedish AI map? You can just short pitch, explain what you actually do, Logical Clocks. Please.
Yeah, so Logical Clocks, we came out of RISE and KTH, and we build data support for, and also compute support for AI. So for designing and operating machine learning applications. So it's a very ambitious project we've been doing from research now into the company. And we are venture capital backed. We have no Swedish money behind us. Our first main customer was in Sweden, so that was Swedbank. So we really, we really have a great relationship with them, and that was really, really important to getting us funded and to putting us out there. We do build the only enterprise feature store for machine learning. It's an exciting new category. It's a data platform for managing your features for both serving and training models. And there's huge demand for this right now. So basically every hyperscale AI company out there has a feature store, and everyone wants one, and we're kind of in a nice position that we're first out there with one. But what we hope to see out of this is more visibility. I guess internally in Sweden, our focus has primarily been on where the demand is, which is on the west coast of America primarily. But I think as people realize when they look at AI, that actually going from just trying out training models to actually putting things into production, there's a big disconnect there. And that's where we come in and we help people, give them the infrastructure which you can actually go from your existing data assets to making those data assets into prediction machines that help you generate revenue and reduce costs in your business.
Great, Jim. And yeah, that's also something that at least I am, and I know that Marie is, and everyone in this room and this greater audience is very concerned about that you need, as a Swedish startup, you need more than just Swedbank on the customer list in Sweden, because
we have more, but like, yeah, but they're important ones.
A little bit more comfortable, thank you. Yeah, but that's crucial actually, because what happens? What do we see, Marie, when a startup gets all the first customers abroad?
What happens is that a lot of startups move out from Sweden, so we need to create those strong networks, create this strong feeling that you can do business and you can stay in Sweden and attract talent that you need in Sweden, attract customer and attract finance to keep your business here. So that's a big concern for us. And what we also see when it comes to startup is that we have this exit is part of the startup growth trajectory. But we rather see that you are the one buying other startups, that you go out to Silicon Valley and buy those companies on the West Coast and bring them to Sweden instead of the opposite. So we have to attract a lot of venture capital to make that possible.
Yeah, and last but not least, Martin Rugfeldt, are you with us still? Hi.
Hi.
I saw you here. I know that we haven't, really talked about that. I was going to ask you a question, but since you're still here, you've actually been with me to Munich, to Unternehmertum, because that's also something really important. As Ignite, we never want to do, we don't want to engage in anything that's not really valuable for startups. That's super important for us. So you've been actually a very important part in this mapping, also for Ignite's perspective, because that meant having you in the process, that also meant that we could always check back and say, okay, is this really valuable? How should we make it valuable? And a lot of these things that we have been discussing during the road, we will also publish November 17th together with Germany. So how do you feel today, Martin? We've been working for this like a year or more.
Yeah, I know. No, it's fantastic to finally see the results of this. And I think, as people have just said, it's really important for us startups, whether it is to get a stamp of approval or making us available to the wider market of corporates or other partners or VCs and so on. It is important for us because in the end, we always need to look for customers that can help us evolve. And I think it's important for Sweden, given that we do have to have these new companies that come up and add to the world. And we've been successful at that for the last few years with lots of very famous startups that's turned into these big companies. These kind of steps is very helpful for us.
Thank you. That's what we are hoping for as well. So, any last comments?
No, I'm super impressed of all these startups that I see in front of me in this map. There are some that I know very well that I'm really impressed by, and there are a lot of them that I don't know yet, but that I need to find out more about.
Yes.
So really, really exciting.
Then I agree, and that's the same thing for me, and I think that's the same thing for AI Sweden. So please join us here. Okay. Now and this is very spontaneous because we still have a couple of minutes left. But how many startups are there? I won't ask you to count. I can give you the number, and Agneta actually told us the number before. That's 89 startups.
Wow.
On the map.
Amazing.
Okay, so per capita.
Well, let's
where does it put us? Yeah. So that's the typical Business Sweden number that we will soon have also for Sweden. That I think 89 startups. When we started this, I was like, okay, great if we can get 60. And then, okay, great if we can reach 80. And now it's like 89. And I'm sure, and I'm seeing by the chat here, that there will be a lot of new startups for the Eval team to assess very soon. So
I hope it's not only about the numbers. I think the quality.
Of course, exactly. But I mean,
it's amazing that there are so many qualified,
exactly.
and the ecosystem is here to support them. And us from Team Sweden, we are ready to really
use this.
to make use of this,
yeah,
and help all of you guys with the talent and the customers and the partners that you need globally as well.
Yeah. So I think we are soon ending this. And I'm just inviting
everyone in the room.
the team that's really made this possible. And we should not forget that there's been a lot of more people than you actually met working with this. We have Åsa. Åsa, would you like to show yourself? And then we have Michelle. She's like doing the tech, so I don't know if I can, yeah. So, and we've been quite a lot of people working with this for the last year, actually. So,
Katarina's been very
and Katarina, where are you, Katarina? She's not here at the moment. Yeah, Katarina, of course. And she's been the project manager of this, actually, since 6 months back or so. And she's doing an enormous job. She's coming great. Yeah, but yeah, so applause for you all, guys. I think you've done a great job. And then, of course, the biggest applause in the room for the startups. Without the hard-working entrepreneurs, we wouldn't have this fantastic Swedish AI startup landscape. So keep up the good work. And we know that it's kind of a tough time, but we hope that this can help at least a little bit. That's what we wish for. Okay.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.